go.
You're a natural.
Don't know about that. All right, we're checking the brakes. Here
I got it.
Eccles, with a man who knows a thing or two about cars. Jeff Taylor, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you? You did that all right. You only had to take
Are we
off
supposed
2.
to get our hands dirty, though?
No.
We don't like getting dirty.
No, I don't like getting dirty. No, that's not what it's about.
We're talking brakes, and let's take a look at this one here, Jeff. And if we look in here, right around this side here, does this one need brakes?
Well, I don't think so. This is the first time I've had them off. So what we would do is you have to get a light in there and then use a gauge. So on these ones, so there's more than that.
What are we looking at?
Well, on this one we're looking at about somewhere between 8 and 6 millimeters. So that's okay.
Right.
It probably need to be serviced where what'll happen is lots of times the pad will jam or the sliders will seize up. So that's something that does basically yearly.
Okay, so let's come back.
So if we have a look at the back one here though.
Now, do the back ones normally go before the front ones?
It depends on vehicle make and model, whether you're towing with it. Lots of times the rears go first. Because they're smaller, they don't get hot enough
But they don't all go at the same time?
Lots
of times you replace the front ones before the back ones?
Depends on driving style.
Okay. So this one here.
On this one, you can see that the pads are worn right down.
Right in here. So those need to be replaced?
Correct. And you can also see the condition of the rotor. And I got a couple of rotors out as examples for you.
Okay.
So if you kept driving with that pad and the pad wears out,
that's what it should look like.
It should look like that, yeah. It's a nice, even, smooth surface, and it grabs a hold of it.
Right.
And
that's no good right here, right?
That's no good, yeah. Yeah, you can see that it was actually steel on steel, so it was grinding away.
So you would hear when you're pressing on the brakes.
Hear that crunchy sound.
And you don't want to get to that point.
No, you don't want to get to that point because you're not stopping very well, and I've seen them where they actually wear right past the pad and into the caliper. Do all kinds of damage.
What about all the salt getting in there too? Is that just a winter thing? You get that in the summer as well?
You get it in the summer more because the corrosion actually goes faster when it gets warmer. Yeah, it's kind of a misnomer. Everybody thinks stuff goes bad in the winter. It does, but it's like a battery. Batteries go worse in the summertime because the reaction goes faster in the battery, and you can't shut it off.
Okay, we're locked into this heat wave right now. So next half hour, let's look at the air conditioning, because you know there's a bunch of people out there that they're going into their cars, they turn on the car, they're like, where's the air conditioning? Why isn't it working?
Especially on a day like today.
Yeah, okay, so we'll talk about that with Jeff Taylor here at Eccles when we come back next half hour on Morning Lives. Let's see if I can put this tire back on.
Yes, I'm gonna be a star.
Whew. It is a scorcher. And like this car, your car might be having some problems with the old AC. So we turn to Jeff Taylor here at Eccles. Scott, we can see you behind there too. Give him a wave. There's Scott Eccles, general manager here. Okay, so air conditioning, that's a big one. You get lots of people coming in.
Lots of people, yes.
What's the number one problem with
Usually not blowing cold enough.
Okay.
Okay, that's the biggest complaint. Lots of times now you have to explain to a customer that it's not refrigeration, it's air conditioning.
Because as soon as they get in the car on a day like today, when it's about 33, they want that cold air blasting in their face.
Blasting in their face. ASAP, and that is a real, it just doesn't happen like that. Most cars do, but it's not refrigeration. We have to stress that.
Okay.
So lots of other things that we do too. We end up with all kinds of AC odors, and one of the biggest things you gotta take care of is a cabin air filter.
Okay. And that's always in the glove box?
Not always. Lots of times they can be underneath the hood, all kinds of different spots. In this particular case, wow, gentle.
Whoops. So it's in here.
It's in there. Yep.
We're pulling this filter out.
And that one's disgusting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can see how that will restrict airflow. You can see all the bugs and stuff falling out of it.
So you get anything stuck in there, right?
Oh, we've had all kinds of stuff stuck in there.
Now, do you clean this or would you replace it?
No, you'd replace that. You put it in. It's basically just like a furnace filter. That's the best way to describe it.
So out of 10, how bad is this one, would we say?
That one's about a 6.
About a 6,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So you would still be getting a little bit of air out of there.
You still get pretty good airflow through that.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, they do have bypasses, so once they do get plugged, construction vehicles are the worst. Lots of times what we do though, when we take that out, we'll spray a deodorizer in there and just make sure that it's...
Misnomer. I've always heard this, and tell me if this is true. Anytime I'm low on gas, I always think to turn off the air conditioning because is it using gas?
It definitely consumes gas, but having the windows up, especially if you have a newer car, it's designed to have the air go over it. So if you open the windows, you're screwing up the aerodynamics and you're actually decreasing.
That's good. That's what's going to.
Correct.
Right.
You want to have the windows up.
Okay.
It's just far more efficient.
Right on. Get back to tires when we return with Jeff and Scott here at Eccles on Morning Live. All right. 51 psi is the max pressure on this tire. Back here at Eccles with Jeff Taylor, and we're talking tires and tire pressure because that's another misnomer. 51 psi is the maximum amount that they can have, but every car is different.
Correct. The maximum that tire can have for the weight rating is 51 psi. That's not what you want to do, though. You want to have a look at the actual placard that'll be on the car.
Where is it in different spots in different cars?
Different cars. There is a standardized thing now where they all have to be on the B pillar. They all have to be distinct with yellow markings, and that all has to do with
on the driver's side door.
Yeah, on the driver's side door.
I know my VW. It has it in like the gas.
They were on the gas doors. Some of the Volvos were on the rear doors.
Okay. So what are we looking for here then?
So if you look at this one, it's giving the two specifications. So the fronts are at 32 and the rears are actually at 30 psi.
So that's where you want to have your tire pressure.
That's the optimum ride that the engineers at Honda decided needed for tire pressure. So that's where you would set them.
On these hot summer days, roadways are hot. Are you losing tire pressure more than, let's say, the winter?
You'll actually gain tire pressure because as soon as you drive, so if you're checking your tire pressures, rule of thumb, pull in, let the car sit for a couple of minutes, you'll feel how warm the tires are because there's still friction involved.
Right.
So it is important to let it sit.
What about, you find people that still have their winter tires on?
We are still seeing lots of people with their winter tires on. Scott was telling us yesterday that he was at the beach on the weekend and there was a number of cars there that still had winter tires on.
If you still have your winters on, you're wearing down your winter, so when it comes to the winter, those aren't going to be.
Winter tires don't like anything above, say, 7 degrees Celsius. They're just wearing off. I mean, they're becoming race tires. They're shaving themselves off. So it's something that you want to get off.
You don't realize how important tires are in your car. We were talking about brakes.
And I told you,
hour.
brakes stop the wheel, but what stops the wheel? The tire,
right.
Because the tire's in contact with the road. So you've got to have good tires.
Okay, when we return next half hour, let's open up the hood and let's just kind of do an overall check. How do we pop the hood on this one? So we can do an overall check of the vehicle. What you should be doing when you're leaving the house.
Don't forget the prop rod.
There we go.
Something to lose when the wheels come down.
So last half hour, we're talking with Jeff about the importance of checking your tires and making sure you have the proper tires on. Even more important, Jeff,
Got to check the oil.
Yeah.
Yep. If you can. Lots of cars don't have dipsticks anymore. So
Really?
don't be surprised if you can't find the dipstick. They've taken them away.
So what do you do then?
You have to do it through the dashboard, and you have to get that owner's manual out of the glove box and understand how to do it.
People didn't check their oil before when it's easy and it's like a big orange thing right here to pull out.
Yep.
You think
So
they'll check it now when they can't even find it?
Well, you're supposed to check your oil every time you add fuel. When was the last time you were at a fueling stop at a gas station and saw everybody with their hood up?
It's the self-serve.
Yeah.
Right? When it
Yeah.
was full service, they're checking it for you.
Nobody
But
does
now- Okay. Pulling this out. You always want to be checking it before you start the car, too.
Before you start the car, or if you've been on a trip, shut it off, let it sit for a couple of minutes, and then check it.
Right,
so anything that's up top has a chance to get back down into the bottom.
Because how much oil can you put in these cars?
Well, every car's different, and again, that's where you need your owner's manual.
Okay.
These cars typically hold about 4.25
Right.
liters.
And that one's looking pretty good.
Yep. Yeah, that oil actually looks just fine, and it's right on the marks.
In your 31 years here, have you seen a few where they've
I've
come
seen
in
lots of cars with no oil in them, and the only reason they come in is usually because the check engine light comes on, because it's so low on oil.
All right, what's some other things that we have the hood open that we can point out?
Always top up your washer fluid, change to the summer washer fluid in the summer.
Know how to put your dipstick back in.
Yep, that's important.
you're a big
but look at your
dipstick like
belt.
me.
If you can see the belt, this is a perfect example of a belt that needs to be replaced. We were talking about air conditioning earlier. If that belt lets go, not only don't you have air conditioning, but you won't have power steering and you won't have an alternator. So you're going to be hot and angry sitting on the side of the road.
How do you get that loyalty with your customers?
It's a hard thing to describe. I've done it for so many years. I've seen generations come through here now.
Right.
Honest, good value. Just try our hardest.
Yeah.
I treat every car like it was my own or my family's.
Right. Lastly, something that you pointed out was lights. That's another thing that you see all the time.
Huge issue. All you have to think of is the last time you were on the highway and you had a car in front of you that just had the third brake light. Brake lights are really important, so are headlights.
Okay, so always be...
And some of them aren't easy to change. You can't even see how to get at the back of the bulbs in the front of this. So don't expect it to be a half an hour job. Some of them can be up to 2 hours. You have to take the bumper off.
Okay. You guys got 2 locations in Dundas.
Yes, we do.
We're the one across from Winchester.
I call this the original.
Okay, this is the original. Is this where you've always been?
I started off in Westdale.
Did you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And now you're here.
And now we're here. Yep.
right.
And then he bought up the road. So that's Uptown.
Jeff Taylor, thank you so much. And we didn't even get our hands dirty.
I hate being dirty.
Let's go to Scott. Scotty, get over here. There's Scott. Oh, there's the ultimate inspector over there. All right, thanks, guys.
Push it up.
Push it.
Push it up. You're forcing it.
I'm in love with